Ethan watched Claire leave the cafe, and his mind would not stop replaying her tired eyes and the way her smile seemed both fragile and resilient. He felt an ache in his chest, like a memory he could not place, as if someone had opened a door to the past and then quickly closed it. He wondered if he should follow her or respect her space, but something inside him urged him to know more. Claire walked briskly down the quiet street, the city lights casting long shadows across the wet pavement. She clutched her bag tightly and thought about how unusual the blind date had been. How strange it was that a stranger could make her feel exposed and safe. At the same time, she shook her head, trying to push away the thoughts. And then she noticed a small envelope sticking out of her mailbox. The handwriting was elegant but unfamiliar. Curiosity and caution warred inside her as she reached for the envelope. The paper felt thick and expensive. She opened it slowly and read the words inside that made her heart skip a beat. It was an invitation to a corporate gala with instructions to arrive at a certain time, and a promise that she would understand why she had been chosen for something important. She stared at the text, thinking that someone had made a mistake, but a feeling of destiny prickled her skin. Meanwhile, Ethan could not concentrate on anything else. He replayed their conversation over and over, wondering why her presence had stirred memories he thought he had buried a long time ago. He walked aimlessly down the same street she had taken, trying to imagine where she might be going. And then his phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number saying she would be there tonight and that he needed to see her again. He hesitated, wondering if it was fate or coincidence. Claire debated whether to respond. She felt a mix of fear and curiosity. The envelope had been left without explanation, and she had no idea who was behind it. She checked her watch and realized the gala would start soon. She wondered if she should ignore it or take a chance. The city hummed around her, and the shadows seemed to grow longer with every step. At the cafe the next morning, Ethan returned, hoping to see Claire. He ordered a coffee and sat in the corner watching the door. The barista noticed his restlessness and asked if he was expecting someone. He smiled faintly and said yes, but his heart sank when she did not appear. He considered leaving a note, but his hand trembled, and then he saw a familiar figure through the window, a woman looking anxious as if she had been followed. Claire had decided to go to the gala. She could not explain why something about the invitation had felt important. She walked past the tall buildings, feeling both intimidated and exhilarated. She held her bag tightly and checked her reflection in a shop window. She thought she saw a shadow behind her, but when she turned, there was no one there. The hairs on the back of her neck stood up. As she entered the grand hall of the gala, she felt out of place among the glittering crowd of elegantly dressed people. The chandeliers sparkled above her, and she wondered what she was doing there. A man in a dark suit approached and handed her a glass of something, sparkling. She thanked him and moved further inside, and then a young woman with striking features appeared and introduced herself as Lila, saying she had been expecting Claire. Followed Lila down a corridor she did not recognize, and her mind raced. She wondered how Lila knew her name and why she had been invited. She glanced back at the crowd she had just left and saw Ethan standing near the entrance, his eyes scanning the room as if searching for her. Her stomach twisted, and she wondered if their paths were about to collide again in a way neither of them expected. The room Lila led her into was filled with portraits and documents that hinted at power and influence. Claire felt a shiver run down her spine. She looked around, realizing that this was not a casual invitation but something far more deliberate. Lila spoke quietly, saying that the company had been searching for someone with her exact skills and experiences. Claire wanted to ask what she meant, but the words stuck in her throat. Outside the room, a door creaked slightly and Claire froze. She thought she saw a figure pass by the threshold, someone tall and imposing. She felt a surge of fear and intrigue, and realized that whatever was happening was bigger than she could have imagined. The sense of being watched made her heart pound, and she gripped Lila's hand almost instinctively. Ethan, meanwhile, had moved closer to the gala building. He felt drawn by a force he could not explain. He did not know what awaited him inside or if he should even enter yet. He could not stop thinking about Claire and the way she had reminded him of someone he had loved and lost. He hesitated on the marble steps, feeling a mixture of hope and dread. Claire heard a whisper behind her and turned quickly. Her eyes scanned the room for the source, but no one was there. She could feel the tension building and realized that the night would not be ordinary. that every decision she made from this moment on could change the course of her life. She swallowed hard and took a step forward into the unknown. The sound of heels echoed down the corridor, and both Ethan and Claire sensed a presence approaching, one that could change everything or reveal secrets better left hidden. They exchanged a glance across the room filled with strangers, and yet both felt an unspoken connection as the figure drew closer. A hand reached for a door, and the world seemed to pause. Claire felt a shiver run through her body as the door opened, and she glimpsed someone she thought she recognized, someone who had the power to unravel all the mysteries of the evening. She did not know if it was a friend or a threat, but the intensity in their eyes told her that nothing would ever be the same again. Ethan watched from the entrance as the figure stepped out into the light, and for a moment the world seemed to shrink to the size of the room. He knew that the events of tonight would not leave anyone unchanged, and that the choices made in the next few minutes would set a chain of events he could not yet predict, and yet he felt compelled to move forward. Claire stepped cautiously into the room Lila had guided her into, and the air felt charged with something she could not name. Her heart pounded as she looked around at the gleaming walls and portraits that seemed to watch her every move. She thought about Ethan and the strange pull that had drawn them together earlier, and wondered if fate was playing some cruel game. Lila smiled at her knowingly and said that Claire had been chosen because she had a rare talent, something that could help the company, and perhaps even change her life. Claire swallowed hard and asked what she meant, but before Lila could answer, the sound of a door opening made them both turn their heads toward the shadows. Ethan stepped into the hall. His eyes searching for Claire, he had felt compelled to follow her despite the strangeness of the invitation the moment he saw her standing near. Lila, a jolt went through him, and he noticed immediately that something about the room felt secretive and dangerous. He took a step forward and then stopped, as he saw a figure in the corner watching them both. The figure moved silently across the floor. Claire instinctively stepped back and felt a chill run down her spine. She could not see their face, but the presence was commanding and heavy. The whisper of footsteps echoed in the silence, and she felt that whatever this person wanted could change everything she had known about her life and the future she had imagined for her son. Lila gestured for Claire to follow her deeper into the room. They moved past rows of documents and files. Claire's curiosity battled with fear. She wanted answers, and yet she feared what those answers might reveal. The shadows in the corner seemed to stretch and twist as if alive, and she shivered, thinking that someone was waiting to test her courage and resolve. Ethan stayed near the doorway, frozen. For a moment the tension in the room was suffocating. He saw Claire glance back at him, and the connection they had shared at the cafe surged through his chest. He wanted to reach for her, but something told him to hold back. The unknown figure shifted closer, and he realized that the night was far from ordinary, and that a secret was about to surface. Claire finally turned to Lila and asked what the project involved. Lila smiled faintly and spoke softly, saying that the company had discovered a hidden opportunity that required someone with her unique experience, someone who could see what others could not. Claire felt a mixture of excitement and terror. She wanted to ask more, but the figure in the shadows made her hesitate. The figure stepped forward and revealed themselves, a tall woman with sharp eyes and an expression that seemed almost familiar. Claire froze in disbelief. She thought she recognized the face. It stirred memories she had buried deep, and she felt the weight of something important pressing down on her. She realized that the connections between her blind date, Ethan, the invitation, and this project were far closer than she could have imagined. Ethan's heart raced as he saw the woman moving toward Claire. He felt a sense of urgency and fear mingled with hope. He did not know if he should step forward or wait. The tension in the room was palpable, and every second seemed stretched as if time itself were holding its breath. The woman stopped a few feet away from Claire and spoke in a low voice that made her knees feel weak. Lila took a step closer, whispering that the choice Claire made now could change everything for her family. Claire's mind raced. She thought about her son, her struggles, and the possibility of something greater. She wanted to trust Lila, and yet the presence of the figure in the shadows made her question if she could truly understand what was at stake. The room seemed to shrink around her.